inspiration for your reading, Aries. Pumping. That's how you do it. What's up, Aries? How are you? I'm recording this reading on the full moon. This reading is for February, and I recorded your reading the same day as I recorded Scorpio, so perhaps they have a message for you. I'm just shuffling your cards now, so I don't know what's coming up or what's not. So I wanted you to be here for the shuffle. Here we go. I'm using my new deck, the Sheet Tarot. Very bright and colorful cards. So what does Aries need to know for this month, February? Alright, so all of them came out like this, except for this one, disappointment, and collaboration in reverse. So perhaps there's a disappointment. Perhaps you're disappointed in like a group or something. Or if this is collaboration in reverse, this would be solitude. So maybe there's disappointment in your solitude. Let's open up these cards and see what the message here is. Wow, you got the same cards almost as Scorpio. So, I figured y'all had a lot in common. So, okay. They had a lot of white. Their whole thing was surrounded by white. So maybe wearing white? I didn't think that for them, but I thought this of you. So, we have timing. So it's the right timing, but perhaps you don't think so because your perseverance is in reverse. So that would be the key, how to persevere in order to make it through this timing. Now our harmony is in reverse with our Dreamweaver, and that Scorpio had that message. Scorpio's message was, or one of them was, to get a proper amounts of sleep. And we talked about 90-minute intervals because that's when you go into REM sleep. So we talked about like 90-minute intervals of sleeping. Like if you're going to put the snooze button on, set it for an hour and a half before you're gonna get up, not 10 minutes, because that, even the tiniest beep, and if you have any other alarms or anything else beeping throughout the night, turn that off too, because the tiniest beep could interrupt that REM sleep, and that REM sleep is very important. That's when these messages are going to connect. And that's very important because there's something we're missing here, Aries. Our passion, our joy, and our turning point is all in reverse. This all has to do with timing. So, doing what you love. Did you do what you love? And here is sleeping too. Perhaps this is sleeping with someone. Or since it's in reverse, maybe it's sleeping alone. But there's passion and joy. Well, there's joy in between your passion and your turning point, but the joy is in reverse. So it's like a lack of joy with a blockage. It's like you don't know where to turn. Okay? And that's why I'm here, to help you. We're going to figure out which way to turn now, Aries, and how to persevere. So, guidance on Aries to get through this disappointment, to persevere. Let's see what the cards say. Well, we're getting what we asked for. Are we putting all of our eggs in one basket? And are we being honest with ourselves? Perhaps we're not. If we're not being honest, if we're being honest with ourselves, it's like a lack of being honest to someone else. We have scrutiny and be here and now. So, okay, so that's the problem. We are either thinking or worrying or stuck in the past, and that's what timing has to do it. We're not in the here and the now, and in order to be in the here and the now, we have to like say fuck the past, fuck the future, excuse my language, forget the future, forget the past, to be here and now. And scrutiny, we're gonna read that one. That is number 11, which adds up to justice, which is the balance, all about balance. And 1 and 1 is equal to 2, which is the High Priestess. So perhaps we're not using our intuition, and it's like very hard to use our intuition and to be on top of our game if we're sluggish and tired. So that has a lot to do with it too. Honesty is number 11 too. So there's a very strong message here with truth, because you think of justice and you think of truth. You think of the judge. He's fair. You know what I'm saying? This is unfair. This is so unfair. And perhaps you are feeling like this isn't fair. Okay, here we go. Number 11, scrutiny. Conflict and misunderstanding. That's what it looks like. It kind of reminds me of the shield, that clarity one. So that hopefully this will help us gain clarity. Alright, so conflict and misunderstandings often result from alternate approaches. When diverse perspectives and personalities fail to meet on common ground, patience and respect can help to untangle the knot. And so can honesty. The first step is to take stock of how you added to the friction. What is your objective? By shifting your focus away from the strife and placing it squarely on yourself, you may find that your aim for a certain result has led you to make assumptions or take others for granted. There might be a deja vu quality to this time where it feels as though you've been in this kind of tangle before. Or you may find that unsuspectingly you've been on someone else's radar. Scrutinize any patterns that intentionally or unwittingly have complicated your arrangements. Assigning blame resolves nothing. It simply diverts attention away from your own responsibility. With humility sincerity, and an open mind, a troublesome situation can change into a respectful one, where every voice is truly heard. Although this is not a light and breezy time, take it as an overdue reality check. By removing blinders that keep you from seeing the full picture, you can begin straightening out your affairs. It's time to get down, get real, and clean up your act, Aries. Become aware of your own or another's manipulative tactics that appear innocent but will create confusing entanglements down the track. When determination is coupled with vigilance and integrity, success is assured. Insight requires open eyes, without rose-colored glasses. Solid foundation cannot be built on shaky ground of illusions or assumptions. So yeah, this is, like I said, this has to do a lot with being honest with yourself, or perhaps somebody's being dishonest with you. I'm gonna look up the word scrutiny real quick. So, the proper definition for the word scrutiny as a noun is critical observation or examination. Now, this is exactly what we're talking about, how we go within and be 100% honest and examine the full situation, just like the judge, number 11, those double 11s, all these numbers, like, it's not a coincidence. I just posted a short today, like, there's no such thing as coincidence. But back to the reading. Okay, so scrutiny is to observe something, like with the magnifying glass. Really examine the situation, like, as a whole. You don't want to just take your side or their side, or one situation and another, or one part of it and not the other part. We want to look at it in full, and we want to be completely honest with ourselves or with someone else. And perhaps this has to do with being responsible for our own actions. This is getting down and this is getting down to the roots, like where it all started. This is like when I said about being responsible for your own actions, this is the Emperor, which is you, Aries. And perhaps this is going back to where it all started, or the roots. This reminds me, like, it feels as though you're just trimming the weed. I talked about this in another reading, about how, like, you're just cutting off the weed instead of... Now, what happens when you cut a weed off by the stem? The roots keep growing, then the stem just keeps getting thicker, and just the top is thin. So when you go to dig it out, it makes it even harder, because you got this little shit up top and this big ass root you're trying to get. It won't work. So it's like you have to do this Scorpio thing, which Pluto is dig the shit up by the roots and get it by the roots. And perhaps that's why we're missing something. We just keep cutting it off instead of getting it by the roots. Look what came up. Just what I said, scrutiny. So once you scrutinize a situation, or you have scrutiny towards yourself, or the whole circumstance, the situation, whatever it is, you're going to gain clarity. But you have to be honest when doing this. And perhaps it has to do with departure. And this is like a new you. Perhaps you've been feeling younger lately, or more mature. However you normally feel, it's like the opposite. You've been feeling the opposite as you normally would feel, and instead of, or like, say for instance something happened and like you would always get pissed off about this certain something, but you hear about it or you learn something and it's like you don't get pissed off about it anymore. This is that kind of energy where it's like you're gonna see how much you've grown or how much you've changed. You're gonna see a difference by the way you react or act in a certain situation. You're like, oh, normally I would have fucking punched that bitch clear dead in the face, but now I gave her a hug. Like, it's something like that. So yeah, we're refreshing after this grief, after this departure. It caused us some kind of grief. So this is a refresher. And perhaps you have everything you need, Aries. This is like the magician. This is magic. This is alchemy. And what I think of alchemy is taking one thing and another thing to create something else. So perhaps we're taking our past and our present to make a new future. And we might even have to remake the past. Like, if you don't like the past story, make a new one or tell it a different way. But this calls for determination. And this reminds me, like, if you're running this race, it's like you don't want to go slow and steady. We want to use our wisdom. We want to be, like I said, this is 21, this is the world, this is also the high priestess energy, which is our intuition. When making choices, we want to use our wisdom because it's, and communication, this is a whale. I think of that. What is that movie? Where the whale, you speak well. Whoa, I speak well. So perhaps this is like learning a new language or speaking to somebody else who, like coming across somebody who is deaf and you communicate with them, even though you don't know sign language. Something like that. I mean, this is not for everyone, but you know who it's for. These are your cards, like I said, these are your cards, so use your intuition when, you know, deciphering these messages. We definitely want to have gratitude, especially around this full moon time. You think of full moons is where endings are. It's like the ending of a cycle, new beginnings. So where these endings are, we want to be grateful, even though we might feel disappointed at that time. Please be grateful, because what you're going through, this departure, the land, the shore is near, shore is upon you, it's coming, we're almost there. We have to remember to have discipline and use our wisdom, definitely. And this order and determination keep on coming up. So perhaps this could be like a lawsuit too, of something. Like, this reminds me like a 3-year like ongoing lawsuit or ongoing something with law. And perhaps that's why we need rest, so we can rejuvenate these energies. Yeah, this is the first time I ever seen this card. These are new cards, but this privilege. And we were talking about the law. And then we have this like gate. And I'd be happy for your freedom, for one. And this is 10. This is the end of the cycle. Let's read privilege, and then we'll wrap it up with that. Privilege number 10 of Earth. So yeah, perhaps if it's not us feeling privileged, somebody else is privileged. Okay, here we go with the reading. The closed eyes and iron gates of privilege threaten as much as they defend. Nowadays, hardship, loss, and the grief that follows in its wake are undeniably encroaching into the lives of people everywhere. This card depicts a status that for eons has been revered, but is now way past its expiration date. Superfluous dinosaur. Planet Earth is undergoing a house cleaning, ringing the death knell on every self-aggrandizing, privileged abuse of her land, seas, air, and every great and small creature who calls this Earth home. Privileged thinking has fanned the flames of social, economic, and environmental disasters everywhere. As Mother Nature heals herself, we witness that much of what is lived for today will simply be gone tomorrow. And it hurts like hell. Working in accord to ensure that we have a future, joining hands, hearts, and resources, we equally must accept the responsibility and privilege of being human. There's a little saying that she quotes, and she says, I am painfully aware how privilege shapes our lives and our stories about ourselves and others. I also know that we are compromised of what we love, what we value, and what we discern, and what we disdain, all tangled up inside of ourselves. Given different life circumstances and opportunities, I might be the one returning into that burning building, or the one lighting the fire, the one attempting to put it out, or even the one who may show some kindness to any who safely walked away. There is a very strong possibility that we will get many chances in the coming times to test our mettle, our swords, and our hearts' capacity to stay open to the face of hardship, suffering, and the challenge of living in the interesting times. So this is like the Ten of Pentacles, and this is basically gratitude. I hear gratitude, be thankful for what you got. Even, like I said, even in the hardships, even in the bad times, be thankful, because God is with you the whole way. And as long as you're doing what you feel you should be doing, and you're making these decisions from your heart, and using discernment and wisdom along with intuition, even if it's a negative situation, it's going to work. It's going to turn out for the positive. It's going to work in your favor. So yeah, Aries, thank you. I'm grateful for you, and I appreciate all your support, for you being here. And stay tuned for your weekly readings to go in a little deeper. This is for the month of February, but for whenever you find this. And yeah, I'll tag my weekend or weekly Lenormand readings. I used to do 2, now I do 1 big one every week, but I usually do either Aries or fire sign, so it's more specific. And it goes in more detail. So we'll have our monthly, and then we have our weekly ones where we go into it a little bit more. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button if you resonate, and if you haven't yet already, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, because it's free. Ain't shit else free in this world but my love and my content.